I'll pick up right where you were leaving off, because the introduction, I mean, that is the word, iconic. I think Tom has quickly become one of the legends of personal development. One of the things that I've always loved about Tom is he's an actual practitioner. Like, he built $1 billion brand. He was the co-founder of Quest Nutrition, and has basically just dedicated his life, I think, to aggressively giving back through impact theory. Both him and his wife, Lisa, they do so much. And anyways, I see him here, so I don't want to waste a second. Tom, what's up, man? Good to see you.
Good to see you. I'm excited to be here.
So we know that a couple of things. So you are big on adaptability. You've always been big on like just being outside the comfort zone and kind of changing your business and changing your brand to keep up with stuff. And then it seems like lately you've really been on this kind of kick about cryptocurrency and NFTs. And Madison and I were talking before, and I was like, I don't really get it. And she's like, I don't really get it either. And we're like, we should ask Tom about this. So we'd love to just kind of go, for the success audience, we talk a lot about money. And if you say money and adaptability, to me, that is cryptocurrency and NFTs. But like, I think a lot of us, we just don't understand it, like even at a high level. So could you pretend that like I was a total idiot and just explain to me, like, what is cryptocurrency and what are NFTs and why do they matter?
Absolutely. So the big thing, the reason that I've started talking about it, I think is important to understand, and then I'll get into the technical side of it. So my mission in life is to help other people realize just how much they can achieve with their life. And one of the areas that people really get held back is money. And so they just don't understand it. And
right.
When COVID kicked off, I had this real sense of like, yo, I have a moral obligation to get people to understand what's going on. And there's something really worrisome afoot here in terms of what I think is going to happen to the economy, et cetera, et cetera. And so that when that kicked off, I started trying to bring all these financial experts on the show to be like, hey, how do we make it through this? And they couldn't articulate it. Like, they didn't know how to talk to an average person. So they could give you like huge macro trends, and if you've got $1 billion to play with, like, they've got you covered. But I was like, yo, how do people on the street like survive this?
Exactly.
And there's one interview, and we edited it enough that I don't think people will know which one it was, but where I was actively getting pissed off at the person because he was like, well, me and my friends are going to get rich through all this. And I was just like, what? Like, what kind of answer is that? So anyway, I was super grossed out by that. And it forced me to really start learning about it. Now, I hate finance. I don't find it interesting in the slightest. But when I learned about NFTs, which I knew would be good because I'm trying to build the next Disney. Okay. So I'm here telling stories. I'm filmmaking, TV shows, comic books. Like, that's what I spend a lot of my time on. And I knew NFTs would be good for that, and I'll explain why in a minute. But in learning about NFTs, you have to learn about the blockchain. In learning about the blockchain, you learn about cryptocurrency. And so now all of a sudden, even though I don't find finance very interesting, I found myself understanding it at a very deep level. And the reason that crypto is so interesting is if you agree, like I do, that technology is a one-way street and that everything is going to be digitized, that can be digitized, including us ending up, go ahead.
And I was just going to say, I've heard you refer to this where you said, like, there's no going backwards, right? Like, this, we're only going to become a more digitized, like, future or you know, culture and all that. So, like, I don't think I had not thought about that, but when you said that, I was like, well, yeah, that is kind of obvious. Like, the cat's out of the bag. Like, we're going this direction.
100%. And so once you realize, okay, technology is a one-way street, we're never going backwards. So now that money has been digitized, it's going to go that way. Like, it's just going to keep being more and more and more. And an easy way to explain it is to say this: Bitcoin, and again, this isn't, or not again, but this isn't financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I cannot see the future. People must do their own research. But why am I so freakish about getting people to look at it? Bitcoin is the single fastest adopted technology in all of human history. Faster than electricity, faster than the telephone, faster than the computer, faster than the internet, faster than mobile.
Wow.
All of it pales in comparison to Bitcoin.
Even social media?
Even social media.
Wow.
The only technology that's been adopted faster than Bitcoin is Ethereum. So when you look at that the two fastest adopted technologies in all of human history both happen to be cryptocurrencies, that alone should get you to go, hey, maybe I should look at this. Compare or couple that with the fact that technology is a one-way street, so it's only going to get more digitized in the future. Then get into like some of the like specifics around what's actually going on in terms of economy and understanding inflation and things like that. And suddenly it's like, whoa, this becomes something that people need to pay attention to. They may look at it and say, Tom is crazy. This is dumb. It's not going anywhere. And fine, because again, I cannot see the future.
But that is, I would say that is how I feel, like what you just described. Because here's what turns me off is like, I don't know why it's so spammy, but like my prayer is I wish my Instagram followers were as avid about me as crypto fans are about like whoever their crypto person is. Like they're constantly, you know, tagging their Forex traders up. And I'm like, these people are everywhere, which is kind of spammy and scary. But then I see people like you who I go, well, Tom's not dinking around with like something unless it's a real big deal. But it's just hard to understand.
Yeah, so there is a lot of, you know, I mean, it's money and it's online. So people are going to try to scam in whatever way that they can. So you have to be very thoughtful about that. But when you look at why this is so important, it's the first time in human history, and people listening to this will probably already understand this, but it's the first time in human history where the average person can front run the institution. And I didn't even know what this was. So my whole life has been about getting good at making money. So I never really cared about investing money.
Right.
And when I realized that, oh, when I became wealthy, all of a sudden I was an accredited investor. But I was like, wait, I don't know any more about investing now than I did before. And so there are these laws that are supposedly protecting the end consumer, but they also stop you from investing like a professional. So you could be way smarter than me, way more knowledgeable in investing than me, but you legally can't invest because of these laws. And so I'm like, what is happening? This is crazy. So cryptocurrency is the first time where the institutions have handcuffs because of the way that their funds are structured. They can't just go invest.
Oh.
And so, but the average person can. They can get in right now, today. Now, again, do your own research, but that to me is huge. And so if you get in now and the institutions come in behind you, then that's going to make what you buy more valuable. So that's where I'm like, God, man, I've got to tell people about this, because if I'm right, and it's a big if, but if I'm right, this will be a once in a lifetime financial opportunity. And so I just want people to do their research. So that's sort of crypto. Do you want me to get more into the technicals of like inflation? Do you want to move on to NFTs?
Well, let me ask Madison, because Madison, I mean, you know, this is going to be your generation for sure, Madison. Like this is going to be, you know, a big thing that you're dealing with. And so I don't understand the fundamentals, but I'm curious, Madison, like, what are you thinking? Like, what is your question of going, like, what do you need to know to kind of like understand all this?
But you know, Rory, I'm kind of right there with you, right? Like it is my generation that's moving up and kind of like getting into this from the start, right? But to me, it's like, is it money? It's fake money, but it's real money. Like how to understand, you know, like where do you even begin to understand the basics? Because they still go right over my head.
Yeah, the short answer to that is YouTube. YouTube is one of those life-changing technologies that people just do not give enough credit to. I was just explaining to somebody the other day, up until now, teachers primarily are experts in teaching. They're not necessarily experts in the thing that they teach. So a mathematician isn't an expert, a math teacher isn't an expert in mathematics. They're an expert in teaching mathematics. And so when you ask them, how is this usable in my real life? They're not going to have a very compelling answer, because the only way they have used it is to teach class.
Sure.
And if you were to ask a business person, hey, how relevant is math? I'm like, yo, let me tell you, I use math every single day to develop projections, to deal with my P&L. I wish I'd paid better attention in math class. YouTube creates an incentive for people that use it on a day-to-day basis. They are in the trenches. They are the ninjas at that thing, but it gives them an incentive to teach it. So now you have practitioners teaching, right? Like me, I'm coming on, I will tell you anything you want to know about business. I will give you the secrets that I have as fast as I can talk, because it allows me to build a bigger community, which allows me to do other things. So now I have an incentive to give away my information as fast as possible. We've never had that before.
Yeah.
So that's where you're going to go. You just type in NFTs, or you type in Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever. What is Ethereum? Why does it matter? Why is Bitcoin better than Ethereum? Whatever. And you'll go down a rabbit hole. Now, any learning process begins with nomenclature. You're going to learn the words.
Right.
What do they mean? What's the difference between Bitcoin and Ethereum? I have no idea. What does NFT stand for? You'll start to get the ideas, the words.
Non-fungible tokens. I learned that one. I don't know what it is, but I do know what it stands for.
You've got the right first step. So now you can start asking better questions because you know the words. As you know the words, you'll start to get the concepts, and then the concepts begin to stack. So I do what I call learning in swarms. So I don't listen to a video and think I must understand every word of this video.
Sure.
I listen to that video to start to learn the words, to get a rough idea of what's going on. And then I move on to the next video and I'm like, oh, that phrase I keep seeing used a lot. And so then I might research that phrase. So NFT, what is that? So what is NFT? But now I've got that because I keep hearing that word. Then once I know the nomenclature, I start identifying who the actual influencers are in the space, like who's got a voice that I resonate with. Then I start going into the principles. And so if you spend 100 hours on any topic, you will be startled how well you actually begin to understand the base concepts. You're not going to be an expert. Then if you start hour 1, learn something, use something. Hour 2, learn something, use something. So now the 100 hours isn't just research, it's research and use. And so now you really begin to understand this. And to give you an idea how sincere I am with that, within 72 hours of hearing the letters NFT for the first time, I had allocated $3 million to building NFTs.
Wow.
So now forget the amount of money. Just think of it as a ratio of your time. So, or your, the resources you have access to.
Yeah.
So I hear about it and I'm like, ooh, I like this concept. I want to learn more. I need to use it. Now, I don't dump all 3 million in at once. I just say, here's how much I'm willing to spend on this thing to master it, because I see the use case, which is very important. And so you're learning and you're getting in there and using it.
And I think that's a cool, like you basically just outlined like how you deconstruct how you learn anything and master anything. Let's dive on NFTs specifically, because I think cryptocurrency is like, okay, it's digital currency, and then there's these kind of different types of like Bitcoin, Ethereum, but there's something about NFTs that seems to keep cropping up specifically for like content creators and artists and entrepreneurs. So what exactly is an NFT? I mean, we know it stands for non-fungible token, but like, what does that mean and why is it valuable and how do you create one?
All right, so here's where it gets interesting. It is so funny to me that people will brush off NFTs saying you're paying $69 million for a JPEG. All right, so let's get into why that isn't true. So fungible versus non-fungible, you have to understand that first. So a fungible thing is money is a great example. So if you have a $10 bill and I have 2 5s, even though they look very differently, we both know that they have the same value, so we could exchange those and nobody would be upset.
Oh, interchangeable.
So, yep, so that's fungible. It's completely interchangeable. Now, non-fungible, traditionally, by the way, digital items have been fungible because there was no difference. If you had a digital copy of the Mona Lisa, I could go screenshot it. I now have the same exact copy. There is no difference between the 2 copies.
Yeah.
But the real Mona Lisa is different. So the real Mona Lisa is non-fungible. So if you have a copy of the Mona Lisa that was painted by Leonardo da Vinci, and I have a brush stroke perfect copy. So if you were looking at the front, they look identical. I could switch them. Nobody could tell the difference. Not even an art historian. But if I turn them around and you see that one is signed by Leonardo da Vinci and one is signed by Tom Bilyeu, all of a sudden, the Leonardo da Vinci one is more valuable and people would not exchange those equally. That's non-fungible.
So it's like
interchangeable.
It's like a certificate of authenticity.
We're going to get to that part.
Okay.
So now first, you understand, okay, there is a way for things that look the same to be different and to be valued differently. And most importantly, to be provably different. That's the key.
Got
So
it.
now we get into the blockchain. Now what the blockchain does is it adds metadata to the thing you own. So now let's say, so I'm on October 13th, I'm launching a project called Impact Theory Founders Key. This gives you access to, it's so absurd. It gets you access to so many things: free access, early access, exclusive access to all kinds of stuff. Now, you could go and take a screenshot of somebody else's founder's key. But when you show up at one of my live events and try to use it as a ticket and I scan it, I will read the metadata and I'll say that's not real. And so now you can't get in. If you show up at my website and you try to get one of my classes for free and you say, hey, I have one of the founder's keys, I check the metadata. Like there are software programs that do this. So the software program checks the metadata and says, no, that's not real, but this one is. So you can have a screenshot of it, but it won't contain the metadata, which is written immutably on the blockchain. The blockchain is protected, it's unhackable, it's all this stuff. So now, even though someone could have a pixel perfect replica of the one that you own, it does not give them all of the utility that you have by having the real one. So for the first time ever, digital goods can be made scarce and differentiated. So even if you have a copy of it, I can give it different properties or no properties if you're just trying to, steal it. And now this is NFTs are the right now where the internet was in 1997. Now the difference between what the internet was like in 1997 for people in this feed old enough to remember it and when you got in your first Uber ride is dramatically different. So if NFTs are this awesome now, you can imagine what they're going to be like in 20 years when all of the infrastructure is built out. So when you walk into a grocery store and you wave your phone in front of a scanner and you suddenly get a discount applied to everything that you do because of all the shopping you've done before, which is tied to the NFT that you have in your wallet, instead of having to have those like dumb cards that they give you.
Right, like a keychain card.
Right. So now imagine Success Magazine, people that go to your live events, they get something for that, and they're called POAPs. We can go down the rabbit hole if you want. But basically what this is doing is it's creating a technological infrastructure, and this is the key part. It's creating a technological infrastructure that allows communities to reap massive benefits for their involvement in the community. So somebody like Tom Bilyeu, who well understands that I have nothing without my community, I want to create something where they can reap the benefits. So with the Impact Theory Founders Key, so the initial sale, that goes to Impact Theory, but we give you a massive amount of utility for that. But after that, we get a 10% royalty and 90% of the future value of that token goes to the community, the person who actually owns it. That's never been done because we've never had a technological way to pull it off. So people just never gave things that were of real value to their community. And quite frankly, even if they did, the community couldn't realize the upside of that in the way that they can now, because I can prove ownership and I can prove authenticity. Once you have that, like imagine somebody comes up and says, oh, no, I own that house, but it's actually my house.
Right.
And they try to sell it. We have all these mechanisms in place to make sure that only I can sell my house. We've just now introduced that to the virtual world.
So it's like a virtual version of a title and a certificate of authenticity. But like if I'm in Founders Club and you give me something, what would you give me? You'd give me a course or something, and then I would sell it to
That's one
someone?
of the things. You certainly could. So what we do is we give you the Founders Key. It's an image, and you now have it. Has metadata, so it says you own it, and it says what tier it is, for instance. So let's say that you're legendary tier because you're just legendary like that.
Heck yeah.
You enter to win phone calls with me, dinner with me, all kinds of that stuff. There are things that you get automatically, a year subscription to Impact Theory University. You can get discounts on everything that we sell. You can get access to early drops that we do on the NFTs that we put out for other projects. So to give you an idea, just in 2021, so the remaining 3 months that we have of this year, we have 3 projects going out. So people that own that legendary tier will have access, early access to buy into those, and other people only get it if it doesn't sell out. So we have a map that shows all the things that you get on the legendary tier. There's like 37 things, and that's 37 things that we can think of today. This is a technology. So we're going to be like, here's a great one. Twitter just announced that they're going to verify your avatar. So one of the things people do with these NFT projects is they use it as their avatar. So on Twitter, instead of you looking like you look like your favorite avatar project. So take Bored Apes, which is a very popular one. So you have a lot of people, there's 10,000 of them, and you could put your Bored Ape. Of course, some people are going to screenshot that Bored Ape and use it as their avatar. So now it's like, well, are you the real owner of that ape or is it somebody else? So Twitter is going to verify that. So if I see you on Twitter flexing an ape, I know that the ape is actually yours. That's what's happening in like the first 18 months of this being a mature technology. What does this look like in 8 years where everybody's validating that and other things? Dude, it gets so crazy. So now I'm going to mention just briefly, because I know I'm like just on a tirade here, but these POAPs. So it stands for Proof of Attendance Protocol. So if you go to my Discord, we just did this on day 1 of our Discord. For anybody that was there during my live talk, we gave a POAP. Now, I can do whatever I want with that POAP. You could sell it, but I, as the person that can imbue that with utility, I can now say, hey, anybody that has the POAP, the day 1 POAP from the launch of our Discord, you're eligible for a free event that I'm throwing, to get a phone call with me, to get an ITU class, to join business decision making. We've partnered with the Bored Ape. These are all make-believe. I'm just saying we've partnered with the Bored Ape Yacht Club, and now you get access to something special because you were there on our day 1 success.
So it's like magazine. A verified attendant, like a verified attendee kind of a thing. Like you were there at this moment in time. It's like another kind of way to prove that that you were a part of something.
100%. And now imagine I say, hey, anybody that has 10 of these POAPs, you're now entered to win some crazy, let's give away a Tesla. If you have 10 POAPs, we're giving away a Tesla. And now I can prove who has it. And that also takes this thing that you got for free just for being there and gives it value. Dude, all the things I'm saying today are the dumb things that I can think of like this fast. When you sit down a team, like we're going to hire a person whose full-time job is to think of cool things that we can add to the NFTs. So oh my God, this is so transformational.
Madison, what are you thinking about right now? Like, I know we only have time for a few more minutes. And so it's like, okay, it's a certificate of authenticity. It's sort of like a certificate of attendance. It's a way, it sounds like an NFT is just like a way of verifying that you were a part of something in an authentic way. I'm kind of curious, like, how do you make money from it? But like, what are you thinking, Madison?
Let's talk about money if you guys want. We can certainly get into that. But Madison, what do you got?
I'm right there with Rory because, I mean, based on this conversation, the one thing I'm realizing is I have a lot to learn. So I have a lot to learn. So this has been really informative, but bouncing off what Rory said, how do you make money from that? So
on the business side or on the community side?
What do you think, Rory?
Well, I mean, I think it's kind of both, but like, let's say that I'm one of your members, you know, I'm an authentic, you know, like you're using Founders Club here, right? So it's like, okay, I'm an authentic member. It almost feels like I have a ticket, right? Because like I understand that because that happens when you go to a concert. Now you have a digital ticket. I could screenshot that and send it to my friend, but when they try to scan it at the thing, they like won't let them into the concert. So I kind of get the authenticity kind of part of it, but then you're saying like I get that if I own the Mona Lisa and I own the authentic original one, it has more value than the copy. But in a digital world, if you created like a course or something, and I'm confused about the community part. Like you said, I could sell it somehow and make 90%, but 10 would go to you. Like, so I could just sell your course. Is that what you're saying?
So sort of. Yes. And how about that? So
okay.
Let's look at a real example. So you go and buy the Impact Theory Founders Key, which launches October 13th. And you now have that. That comes with, like I said, those 37 things, and we're literally adding to it almost daily. And one of them is my business decision-making course, or we're probably going to rebrand that as $1 Billion Business Tactics. Far sexier. Same class, but that's worth $5,000. So I sell that right now. We get people signing up all day long. So now, by buying the legendary tier of the Founder's Key, you get one of those sessions for free. Now, you do what you want. You can show up. You have to qualify because you have to be a business owner. But if you qualify for that, then you just got $5,000 worth of value. If you don't qualify for that, you could sell it, right? Because it has a $5,000 price tag. And I gave you one for free. Do with it whatever you want.
But it's like selling a ticket. Is it kind of like thinking of it as like I had a ticket to a baseball game and I couldn't go, and so I tried to sell it to my friend, yeah?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Then the
but
other
you get a piece of it, though.
That I would not get a piece of.
Oh, okay.
So that's your value. Now you go do what you want. The part where I would get a small piece is if you decide to sell the whole Founder's Key, which you would do on OpenSea, which anybody familiar with the space will immediately know what that is. And what makes these valuable is there's a very limited quantity. So there will only ever be 2,700 of the legendary tier of the Founder's Key. So now 2,700 people total on planet Earth will ever have this. So now if somebody wants something that gives, the value theoretically will go up over time. It could go to zero, let's be very clear, but it could theoretically go up in value. So let's say the legendary tier will go on sale for 3 ETH, which is very expensive. I'm hyper aware of that. We have different tiers with a far more accessible price point. But the legendary tier will start at 3 ETH. So if you buy that, now obviously one thing on that list is worth $5,000. So already it's like, and I've got 36 more. So theoretically for people, the value of the key is worth far more than what we're selling it for. So what you'll find some people will do is they will resell it on the secondary market. And they'll say, hey, I just saw this key for, I wanted one thing, I got my one thing out of it, now I want to sell it. And so the way we look at it is the Founder's Key is a product. It's like a car. You bought a car from me. Now, the car happened to come with a trailer, and we are going to, let's say, 2 months from now, we're going to airdrop you, give you for free, a golden steering wheel. Now, if you don't want the trailer, sell the trailer. I don't want anything for that. You bought it. It came with the trailer. Do with the trailer what you will. When I give you that golden steering wheel, it's completely up to you. You can either put the golden steering wheel in your car, or you can sell the golden steering wheel. I don't care what you do. Now, as people see how many things come with this car that they bought, over time they may say, the community wants one of these cars, and there were only 2,700 made of the legendary tier. There'll be more. We haven't announced the total yet. If you want those announcements, go to the Discord. We'll be telling how many total there will be. But the legendary tier will only have 2,700. So if you want one of those 2,700, you won't be able to buy it from me. You have to buy it from one of the people that bought it. That's where they will capture 90% of the economics. So let's live in a fantasy land. This is not financial advice. I have no idea what will actually happen to the price, so it's important to be clear about that. But let's make believe for a second and say that it goes from 3 ETH to 6 ETH. Well, now you just doubled your money. And should you choose to sell your car, because remember, I'm being as SEC compliant as humanly possible. This is not a project. This is a product. And think of it as a car, just to use an analogy. So if you're done driving and you want to sell that car, and I've added so much value to owning that car that the community is like, yo, I'll pay 6 ETH for that. They get 90% of the difference between the 3 ETH and the 6 ETH.
Yeah. So if I'm trying to like normalize this in a way, I know you have to bounce, but is it more like, let's say, so like I'm a Denver Broncos fan. So it's more like I have a season ticket for a seat in the Denver Broncos stadium, and I get access to all these things that season ticket holders get. Theoretically, I could sell that ticket for some face value, but if no one can get season tickets because there's only so many season tickets available, it's more like, well, the ticket might only be worth X, But if somebody wanted to buy a seat as a season ticket holder, because there's a finite window of those, I could sell it for more than what the ticket is worth because the demand for that seat is higher. Kind of like that?
100% like that.
Awesome. So I know you have to go. Y'all, if you're not following Tom, first of all, click in the top left corner. Make sure you're following him. He's done a couple huge episodes and a lot of IGTVs and stuff about this. But if Impact Theory obviously is the show, it's a video show, podcast, everything. He's talking about it, and we're so lucky to have you here, Tom. Like, this is fascinating, and it is absolutely mind blowing. And thank you for being with us. Thank you for this opportunity, for the education. I feel like I understand much better just from this one conversation in a real life way what NFTs are all about, and it makes me feel a little more equipped to go forward into a wild future.
I love it, man. Thank you guys so much for having me. Everybody, if you're interested in learning more about what we're doing, head over to our Discord, and you can get there by going to impacttheory.com/Discord, or it's in my Twitter bio as well, and I'm just at Tom Bilyeu. I see some watermelons. We've got people from the Discord in here. What's up?
That's
an inside joke. People in the Discord will get.
Love it. Well, man, thanks for doing what you're doing, and you are one of the practitioners, and it's just like one of the thinkers that I think is shaping the world and certainly shaping the future. So good luck to you, and thanks for sharing some of your wisdom, man, and we look forward to following your journey.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on, guys. It was awesome.
Thanks for coming in, Tom. We love you here at Success. I think that you were the first person that we've ever talked to about cryptocurrency here on the Success side of things. So it was great to have you in, and we look forward to all the times we see you in the future.
Awesome. I'm honored. Thanks, guys.
See you, buddy.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Wow, Madison, that was crazy.
Yeah.
I mean,
the emoji that's like his brain is like that's how I feel right now. I'm trying to process all of this information. I'm really not somebody who is financially savvy. I don't really understand, not that I don't understand a lot of money, but we talk a lot about money at Success.
Right.
And this was such a different side of it that I've never even taken the first steps into. So listening to it was really mind blowing.
Yeah, it really is. And I think, I'm certainly not an expert investor, but, I'm also trying to make sense of it. And I think it's kind of like the most real life thing that I can equate to what is an NFT, it sounds like from that whole conversation, is a certificate of authenticity, right? And proving something that is real. And if the Mona Lisa, when it was originally created, was worth X, but now that I have the original, I can turn around and sell it, and it's worth more and more and more. I think doing that just in a digital version is what it sounds like. So anyways, we'll stay tuned and keep following his journey. And thanks for being my co-host as we're leading people into an exciting, changing world.
Yeah, no, this was a great conversation, Rory. Thank you for initiating it, always helping make it happen. I know this was your idea to talk about crypto today and to get that conversation driving on Success, and I think everyone loved it. So I really do. It was really informative. I know I'm going to take Tom's advice and dive into YouTube later because if anything I learned, I have a lot to learn. So, but no, this was great. This was great. Always love hosting the Success Room with you. Can't remember who we have on the schedule for next week, but I know it's somebody awesome. So
it's definitely somebody awesome. We have some big time guests and stuff coming up. So stay tuned. We'll come back here every Thursday, 12:30 Central. I'll see you next week.
See you next week. And for those of you asking, we have this live. It's going to be saved in our ATVs, and we will share that later. But thanks for tuning in. Follow Rory, follow Success, and you can even follow me at Maddie Piper. But thanks, guys. Have a good one. And bye, Rory. We'll see you next week.
Bye.